Commence primary ignition.
Ah,
Yeah, it's us.
we're here. We're back.
Yes.
I don't. Has it felt like just a really, really, really long time?
Yeah, it really has been. And it's so good to see you.
I know. For me, it's been a month. So, like, I feel badly about that.
No,
that was
never
not the
feel
plan.
badly about that. No, do
That
not.
was not the
We are
plan.
a team. This is what we do. We've
It's
gone
true.
together to fill in the gaps. So
It's true. One team, one dream. Let's see
that's right.
who gets here. Just hanging out.
Hey.
All right. So it looks like we've got YouTube online, hopefully, and it looks like
Perfect.
Facebook is playing nice right now.
For once.
We'll see how long that lasts.
So yeah, how about that Stellan Geos
oh my god, okay.
lightsaber?
You want to talk about like instances in which I would have been arrested? Tackling Michael Siglain for the Geos lightsaber probably would have been my downfall. Hey John. I'm still emotionally recovering over that lightsaber announcement.
I could hear you screaming from Florida.
Probably. The best thing about that lightsaber announcement was that my phone, like as it was happening, my phone just absolutely went bonkers. Like every alarm went off, like across every social media platform. They kept sending me the link, and I was like in the fetal position crying. So excited. If it drops the week I'm on my vacation, I'm going to be like absolutely
Hi Dan.
Just absolutely undone. But I've got my backups. I've got people looking out for it.
Get your crew.
November's going to be the month of hot bearded men with their lightsabers. We get Kanan this month or next month, and we get Stellan next month.
And the fact that it's like 5,000, like, come on, you guys, that's rude.
No, I think it'll be all right. So, because I mean, the Cal Kestis saber I think was only 4,000, and I mean, I did all right with that one. I mean, we got number 1, so I did really okay on that one.
You did super good with that one.
So Stellan, I mean, if I have to start throwing elbows for Stellan, I'm sure I'm going to get him one way or another. He's my man. He's my
so cool,
stupid High Republic Jedi man. All right, let's see. We're getting there. People are slowly trickling in.
I assure you, this is not a drill. We are Daughters of the Galaxy this week, so
I know. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is like it's just felt like it's so long since we've had our show.
Yeah.
Between the Ahsoka wrap show 2 weeks ago, it feels like so much longer since that show's been over. I can't believe it's only really been 2 weeks. I guess, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then missing Ventress. Yeah, it definitely felt like a minute here. But I mean, Ventress ties right into our subject tonight.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about the Night Sisters.
Yes.
Let's check one more thing here.
And how about this spooky graphic? Like, I love this. The green fire.
Listen.
Mother Talzin.
You know, if there's one thing I love, it's Force cults. And I think I said this in the ad today. Like, if there's one thing I love, it's a Force cult. If there's another thing I love, it's space magic. So there's a lot of unhinged stuff happening here. And in typical Star Wars fashion, I feel like we don't get enough of the unhinged stuff, which of course would be the Night Sisters and, you know,
it's
magic from a planet.
Force cults and space magic. That's the motto of tonight's episode. So yeah.
That's exactly it.
You know, the first time I saw these witches and just I saw them on Rebels before I saw them on, obviously I saw Rebels first before Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting the whole possession thing when they took over Sabine and Kanan and you know, for the Darksaber, it was kind of terrifying. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I
Kid
really like, this is what they have the kids watch. And then when I got into Clone Wars, I'm like, holy crap, they're doing what to Maul now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and so what's like so interesting about this, so I've been on my big expanded universe kick, because I know for so many reasons, but for
Which
those
is
of you who haven't been keeping up on my Instagram book list, I'm currently on Dark Force Rising, which is the second of the Thrawn original trilogy books. So like I'm busting through them pretty quick.
you are.
But what I didn't know, I've got a lot of people that are like, "Hey, let's talk about Thrawn." And I'm like, "Hang on, I've got like 9,000 pages left to read." And Tim Hahn is known for his very intricate military writing. So those pages.
He and his lovely wife are just like wonderful people. Like I
Oh,
had
yeah,
the best times at cons like with those two. So
no doubt. But the subject material can be a little heavy sometimes.
it's
So,
like George R.R. Martin writing about feasts. They have that one area of expertise that they stick
yeah.
to, and then they throw the details in, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, and so here's my
So
here's my
good.
hot take, because it can't be a Daughters of the Galaxy show if I don't have a hot take, and I promise we're going to take this back to the Night Sisters in just a second. But
We will.
like I actually really struggled with the new canon Thrawn trilogy. I only made it through like the first 2.5 books, and I did not even touch Ascendancy. They're literally still sitting on my bookshelf out there. And I know that's like a really hot take because the Thrawn fans like especially really love Ascendancy. But I really struggled with the content, and I really struggled with the writing style for a long time. So like the EU Thrawn books were totally like, I'm like, I can't do it. It's too much for me. But today I went out with my friend Brie and we were talking about how the beauty of the expanded universe Thrawn books is that it's like 4 story or 5 storylines, like all kind of tied together. So whereas with the new Thrawn trilogy, it's like just a lot of Thrawn. With the expanded universe Thrawn trilogy, you get like Han Solo, you get Leia, you get Luke, you get a Mad Jedi, you get Mara Jade, you get like all these other stories, so it's not quite as like Thrawn heavy, which has made the read a little bit more fun. But
it kind of guides him in, like it does with Rebels. Like it kind of guides him in slowly and introduces them to the EU readers.
It's like he just has his hand in like every story, I think, is the thing. So whereas like Leia and Mara Jade, for instance, don't really have a lot of overlap so far, Thrawn has his hand in kind of every one of those stories. So, or every one of those plot lines. So,
right.
You know, it's the Thrawn trilogy for a reason. But anyway, where I was going with this is I've been spending a lot of time in the expanded universe, rabbit holing and reading lists and, you know, what to read in order and things like that. And what I didn't know was that the Night Sisters were actually born in the EU in a 1994 novel called what, the courtship of Princess Leia, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
and
right.
What was so great about this is that the author, even then in the wild 90s, was like, yo, there's not enough female representation in this franchise. You should probably like write some female characters, and we should probably do some more strong female characters here. And so he wrote this book. I want to make sure I get it. Dave Wolverton wrote this book.
He's a legend. Really good writer.
And I haven't even read any of his stuff. So like you best believe that like now I have like a new
that's actually like one of the few EU books that I've read is the
Oh, so you read it. So I should let you talk about it, because here I am like working off of like
okay. No, totally do that, because it's been like, oh God, at least 20 years since I read the book.
Okay.
So I'm a little rusty, but yeah. And I read it once.
So what I loved about this, and what I had a good laugh about, like as I was kind of reading some of these notes about this book, was that the whole argument to create these Night Sisters, who their backstory kind of matches roughly what we saw in animation, was that he wanted more strong female characters. He wanted more complicated female characters. And George Lucas looked at it and said, that'll be a great backstory for Darth Maul. So it's like, we have these great female characters, but their only point here is to serve as a backstory for a male character.
Again, the jump off for the male character. Yeah. This is the way.
So, I mean, again, is that, I'm sure it's more nuanced than that, right? Like I definitely gave like the very high level interpretation of what I read.
you're not wrong. Like going back and actually watching Clone Wars and just seeing what they do. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, well, and of course, we both have experienced Mother Talzin and the Clone Wars stuff, and we're both on the up and up with Merrin, and of course the newest addition to the Night Sisters legacy with Morgan Elsbeth, and yeah, so there's a lot going on. It was surprising to me as I prepped for this show how old the Night Sisters really were, because I truly and honestly, hand to God, thought that this was a story that kind of came around in the Clone Wars first. So
yeah, and they weren't entirely fleshed out until the Clone Wars. Like, you don't really see them as like a definite threat to the goings on of the Jedi and the Sith until Clone Wars,
right?
So again, and maybe that is like the reason why they are the jumping off point of Savage and Maul, is because they're using their people to tie into the Great War between the Jedi and the Sith, and that's what it comes down to. It is,
and I think what's so interesting about that is that where we see a lot of these sort of, especially in the Clone Wars, right? We see so many of these factions really turn to one side or the other, really like align themselves with either the Jedi and the Republic, or the Separatists. The Night Sisters actually do a pretty good job of saying, like, we serve ourselves. Like, we're not interested in either side here. We kind of just serve ourselves. Which for a witch coven, I mean, hey, it's spooky season. I kind of love that. They're like, this is just us.
Yeah, and just the looks, the high collars, the hoods, the very angular, like, spiked robes, like these ladies look scary, and
they do. And like it's interesting to me because Star Wars has so many different species and so many different aliens and so many different animals and creatures and things that we kind of see throughout this entire franchise, and they all kind of like adapt themselves to or look sort of in a way that they would live in a certain terrain. But then you look at these Night Sisters and you're like, ladies, like, what are you doing over there on Dathomir? Like, like, what's life like on Dathomir, where you have these crazy cloaks and you have these, I don't know. I'm just even looking at Talzin and on the
faces, and your faces look all crispy. Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah. So, what's also interesting is that the characters themselves, seeing them kind of crop up in different storylines. Like, I know the one that's probably the most iconic, I guess people would probably argue Merrin, but honestly, I'm going to say it's Ventress, of course. Asajj Ventress being one of the Night Sisters.
Nothing against Merrin.
No, and honestly, Merrin is another one where somehow, like, I was watching some old VCN shows, and somehow I think Spencer at one point was like, "Oh yeah, Jamie, she plays all the video games," and I'm like, "Huh? I do?" So I'm okay. So here, I'm gonna clear the air here. I'm famously bad at video games, like really bad at video games.
I like to watch the cutscenes on YouTube.
Thank you. Yes, I get the cutscenes on YouTube, right? So, like, do I know Merrin's story? Sure. Have I played Merrin's story? Absolutely not. But again, even prepping for this, I feel like you can't talk about the Night Sisters without being like, oh yeah, and there's Merrin.
Yeah.
But Ventress, I think, is such an interesting one because there's so much complexity in the history between the Night Sisters and the Jedi, and how the Night Sisters don't love the Jedi. And how allegedly they were founded by like a fallen or a dark Jedi. So I mean, they've got some history there. But
yeah,
then there's Ventress, who, of course, was never a Jedi, but had undergone all this training under a fallen Jedi, or whatever we're gonna call Dooku. And I just think that's me.
Disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
Yeah.
And there are more and more of them cropping out there. So I mean,
yeah. No, with as we said on our Asajj show, Asajj just just got sick and tired of the people that she cared about being ripped from her
Mm.
through this whole thing. So turning to the dark side, turning to the her people on Dathomir, the Night Sisters, like she just wanted to belong. And as Mother Talzin said, you know, our only loyalty is to each other. So to have that you know, that sense of belonging and well, maybe I'll find it here with my people on Dathomir. Not
Well,
exactly.
and like, okay, so Dark Disciple. I'm just gonna say it.
Just
So Dark
throw it.
Disciple.
Just
Yeah.
throw it.
So I think I've talked about this book somehow on like every one of our shows, and I don't know why, because really I mean, it's such a good book. So I do know why. It's a great book.
Yeah.
But it's one of those books where, for those of you who haven't heard me rant about it, or for those of you who don't know, it was initially supposed to be 6 episodes of the Clone Wars, and it was eventually the idea was scrapped, and they didn't end up producing those episodes, so instead it turned into the book, Dark Disciple. And it's all about this relationship between Quinlan Vos and Ventress. Great, fabulous, it's wonderful. But what's so fascinating about it is that Ventress really shows Quinlan Vos like what it's like to be a Night Sister, and even goes so far as to like take him to Dathomir. So I think that's really fascinating, because it is such a culture that's like, I don't want, well, I mean, I guess the Night Sisters you could almost call like a closed culture, right? Because like it's just them and they're only looking out for themselves. But like,
Absolutely. Indigenous people, native people do not trespass on their lands.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's teaching him sort of what it's like to have this power, but to really use it autonomously of the light side or the dark side, and to say like, you can harness this magic, or we can, you can use this magic without going fully dark. And plot twist, he goes fully dark. It's really good. It's so good. It's such a great book. I'm just spoiling
Yeah.
this whole book, but honestly read it, because I'm totally destroying it.
Oh no, we talked about it last time. It was totally fine. Feel free.
Great. So then we've totally destroyed we've totally destroyed Dark
We've done it
Disciple.
before.
But honestly, y'all should read it anyway, just because it's great. And it's just such a good book. But I think it's so interesting, because in a lot of ways, Ventress as a Night Sister almost becomes this bridge from like the Night Sisters to the dark side with Dooku, and then the Night Sisters to the Jedi with Quinlan Vos. But ultimately, I mean, showing any sort of allegiance one way or the other, I mean, it gets her spoiler killed. So I don't know. I think Ventress is in a lot of ways like almost a example to the rest of the Night Sisters to be like, don't do this. It's a trap.
Oh yeah.
Men ruin everything. Sorry, men, not all of you. Just in this case, men ruined everything. So
for one person. Yeah. um so yeah, it's you know, with them, as you said, they just keep separate from the light side and the dark side. They have their own side. It is what they do, and they have their own means to an end. They get their magic right from Dathomir itself. Like they just draw power out of the planet, and the thing that like creeps me out the most is like even after they're gone, like there's this is what we saw in Rebels, like their spirits are still so strong that just when you think like because Maul is a Dathomirian and his body was rebuilt personally by the Night Sisters that he's got a handle on this. No, that thing went horribly wrong. They do not care about the Jedi means. They don't care about the Sith means. They will do what they want to do to be free of the prison that they are in and to resurrect themselves on their home planet. And
so let's talk about resurrecting for a second. Because this has, for so many reasons, become such a hot button issue in the last, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. But I also really want to tie up Asajj for a second, because you brought up something that I really wanted to talk about. So
go ahead.
Twice in like the last couple of weeks, because of the unfoldings that have happened on Ahsoka, there's been all this talk about like, all right, so the Night Sisters have all this power to resurrect and to reanimate, as the case was. So I can't help but like think back to Asajj and to Ventress. So at the end of Dark Disciple, as I've already spoiled, she dies. And Obi-Wan Kenobi and Quinlan Vos take her back to Dathomir for a traditional Night Sister funeral where they basically mummify the fallen sister. They put like these animal skins on her, and they bury her into the planet itself. And Dathomir is where the source of all of their power is. It's where the Night Sisters are the most powerful. And Ventress has now had this very traditional Night Sister burial. So, like, I don't know. We've brought back weirder characters. Can we reanimate Ventress?
That's what I would love to see. Like, if anything, like, I feel like she had been giving the short end of the stick for so long. I just want her to come back, and I want her to be a badass. I don't want her to be Jedi, Sith, whatever. My favorite Asajj era was Bounty Hunter Asajj.
I was going to say, I knew it was going to be Bounty Hunter. I always forget about that.
She just wanted to slap the crap out of cocky little Boba and just do her own thing.
Don't say we all.
So absolutely. And just her teaming up with Ahsoka to clear her name, like, that was another era that I absolutely loved. And she, again, Sis was doing it for herself. Like, she just didn't care about either of it.
Yeah, so, Ventress, she's so complicated and so layered.
Yeah. So I want to see that. Like, just sign me the hell up for that, please.
Well, the precedent is set at this point. So, we're going to have to talk about Morgan Elsbeth in just a second here. But, like, the precedent, I think, is set because we do know that across the Clone Wars and across Rebels and now into Ahsoka, that this is sort of a hallmark of the Night Sisters. Like, they are known for reanimating. They are known for bringing people back from the dead, maybe not in their fullest form. But, like, imagine how that could be, right? So we've been able to see them reanimate or to bring their spirit, I guess, into other people's bodies, and as we saw in Rebels, of course, and do that. So, like, would we get back like the Ventress that we know and love? I don't know. I don't think we would, but I would be very curious to see what we do get back.
Yeah, and I have a feeling like either way, we're gonna be happy because
it's Halloween. Let's get some zombies up in here.
Oh yeah. Like, honestly, like, when I saw Morgan Elsbeth get, the blade of Talzin and Ahsoka's lightsaber to the gut, I'm like, okay, this really freaking sucks because now she's like just left here on this planet to die. It's like, oh, she served her purpose. Like, whatever, we're out of here. She distracted Ahsoka and her people long enough to get us out of here. Like, I felt that was so cheap to a character that could be great, to just kind of use her as fodder so the bigger bads could escape. So my hope is, I don't know, they find some way to resurrect her. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So
I know you don't.
No. It's, I mean, at this point,
I know.
I mean, for those of you who are watching who don't already know this, here's a big old plot twist. I hated Ahsoka. And that's fine. But I do think,
totally
think in the conversation of the Night Sisters, I think there is some very interesting Night Sister content in Ahsoka that opens a lot of, I'm going to say in this case, worrying doors that I think need to be handled very, very carefully because, we always joke with Star Wars where it's like, they're not dead if you don't see the body. Like, you got to see the body, make sure that they're dead. And while that's true, I think when we start getting into bringing back characters who, okay, we did see the body, like we definitely did see her go.
Yeah, there was no disguising that wound. Jeez.
Yeah, but I mean, we've also been playing it pretty fast and loose with, lightsabers and things to the gut. Sabine Random looking at you. So I don't know. I don't know that I think that they're done with Morgan Elsbeth, especially on Peridea. That's already a planet that seems to have its own kind of stuff going on, potentially along the lines of like Dathomir. So I think that there's a very strong potential that there will be some Night Sister shenanigans that bring her back, especially because all of that happened after she had her formal like indoctrination into the Night Sisters with the Great Mothers. Yeah. So I think the timing on that was very intentional.
Oh yeah. Maybe so. You're right.
But I also thought that it was interesting to see. While I was watching Ahsoka, I was talking to another friend that I was like, all right, what do we think these red ribbons are around the stormtroopers? And without missing a beat, the other person was like, it's a Night Sister thing. They're all zombies, guarantee it.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
The cases that they're moving in, like those cases that they're moving into the Chimera, are absolutely tombs. Like, mark my words right now, it's some whack job Night Sister magic where they have reanimated these dead corpses. They are moving because they have to keep their corpses.
Do you think that they're also Night Sisters?
I don't know about that. So that I don't know.
Like they dug up a Night Sister, area on Peridea and are bringing them into the known universe.
So what I think is probably more like, well, I don't know. So I don't know if I want to say this is more likely, but a theory that has been rattling around my head is, to the best of my knowledge, the Chimera was not like it was not unmanned when they got yeeted into the other galaxy. So what I think is more likely is that it's leftovers from people that have perhaps died or whatever, that were already aboard the ship, and the Night Sisters were like, hey, Thrawn, we can reanimate your entire crew. I mean, I don't know, I'm reaching at this point because I had a lot of...
Or maybe they use like the dead to kind of like feed their magic, as you started to kind of go into earlier. Like they just use the spirit and use the dead to funnel their magic, and they left with Thrawn. So they kind of need some kind of defense, some kind of power source to get this done.
This is really twisted, but honestly, like, Ahsoka was so painful to me that I had to like hold on to things. I was like, all right, what can I laugh about? Because if I don't laugh about this, I'm probably gonna cry. Did you ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
Okay, the TV show, not the movie.
Yes, I've watched both. Yeah.
So the episode where they have to have the dirt of their like homeland,
their ancestral home to travel with, otherwise they can't sleep.
Correct. Yeah. So the whole time they were loading up these corpses onto the ship, I'm like, that's it. That's their bottle of dirt. They have to keep their ancestral dirt with them at all times.
Oh my god, me too.
So I think it's like those, that to me was like the cinch, right? So I was like, all right, so all of those tombs are absolutely like 100%. It's like their bones, right? Like, because they can't travel without their bones, or else they can't sleep, or whatever the case may be. So I think Merrick was the whole situation with Merrick, where everyone's like, oh, he's Barriss, oh, he's Ezra, oh, he's this one, oh, he's that one, and then surprise, he was a pile of dirt. I think was absolutely a hint as to what's going on with all of these stormtroopers. I think if you were to whack one of those helmets off of any of those stormtroopers, I think it would just be poof dirt.
I think a lot of them died, but I don't think all of them died, and I'll tell you why. The whole scene where they ask, I think they ask Enoch if his men are prepared for this, and they get taken down by Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine, and they die, and they just crumble at the bottom of the stairs, and then they reanimate. And I think like they use their Night Sister magic to like reanimate these people to keep going, and that's why like it was painful for them, like to see them just kind of get up for the first time and stuff like that. I think it was the first time they got reanimated. So I think while many did die on the way to Peridea, and that's the source of the bodies, but I don't think all of them died. But that voice, I don't know. It's like it's hit or miss, and it's frustratingly hit or miss, because I'm just like, are they reanimated? Are they not reanimated? We heard Merrick's voice sound very similar to Enoch's voice. What's going on?
The thing that gets me here is that and this is one of my, again, I just literally just had this conversation today with my friend. We went out to Epcot. We talked about all sorts of Thrawn, especially related things. But what kind of gets me is that, okay, so we have the Great Mothers, right? And we know that they are obviously like the sort of top of the pyramid, as it were, for these Night Sisters. Like, these are the three that are, at this point, sort of the most powerful, I guess we're gonna use that
Shout
word.
out
Like
to Claudia Black for being like the stand-in for Mother Talzin as far as the creepy factor goes. Yeah, she's so good.
So we have these great mothers, and they are sort of the pinnacle of the Night Sisters. And I had a lot of weird issues with the power dynamic between them and Thrawn. I feel like they kind of cut Thrawn down at the knees in a lot of ways. And here's the thing. I am all about like the powerful, like, again, we opened the show talking about how the Night Sisters are, their own thing. They are really entrenched in this magic. They have their own sort of take on these things, and they are obviously super powerful and have a lot of really unique abilities. I absolutely think that Thrawn would want to align himself with somebody in those powers. I'm seeing it right now reading these EU books, but I didn't love that he was basically like, oh, can't solve any of these problems for myself. Let's go ask the Night Sisters to take care of it. I feel like he's relying a little bit too much on them for somebody who is as masterful a tactician as he is.
Mm-hmm.
I did not love the power dynamic between Thrawn and the Night Sisters, and I do think that if we think about his crew, I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to see what happens, I suppose, in this current or back in the galaxy that we know. Between that power dynamic, because I don't think they're going to want to deal with his shit for too long, and frankly, I don't think he's going to want to deal with their shit for too long. So that's going to be
he tends to, both of them tend to go where it's beneficial to each of them. So it's like, as you said, how long is this going to go on?
Yeah.
Especially now that they're back in the known universe and each has separate agendas. So I don't entirely think that Thrawn realizes this, as much as he knows not to underestimate a culture or a planet or their people or anything like that. I feel like he's kind of underestimating them.
Yeah, I'm going through my brain at this point to be like, do I know of any other situations aside from this show where the two of them, or where Thrawn and the Night Sisters cross one another? And I can't think of anything, but that also doesn't mean that I mean, there are people I'm sure that are so much, not even I'm sure, I know there are people that are 1,000 times better versed in Thrawn than I am. I'm just dipping my toes into the Thrawn shenanigans right now. But I will tell you, even in watching that and knowing this history of the Night Sisters from the Clone Wars and from Dark Disciple and from Rebels, I was like, oh, don't know how I feel about this partnership. Really don't know how I feel about this partnership. And, the whole power dynamic and relationship between him and Morgan Elspeth, I don't know. Yeah. Plus, I mean, wouldn't you think that this would also? Sorry, my brain is just going.
No, you're good.
My brain's going a mile a minute, as Michael Scott might say. I don't know. I think there's also some weird stuff going on because of their general distaste for Force users, their general distaste for like the Jedi. I guess I want to know more about like what happened initially when they landed with Ezra, because like obviously Ezra, went out to go hang out with some space snails for a little while. So stupid. I'm sorry. The way I groaned, like, oh, this is so painful. But I would love to know more about what that dynamic, I guess, looked like, because like he had to have had some interaction with them.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like getting off the Chimera and kind of like it makes things weird to me that Thrawn wouldn't have wanted to kill Ezra in any capacity for bringing him like to a whole other galaxy to get him away from destroying things. Yeah. So it's a little simple for me to find that like he would so easily let Ezra go, and that he wouldn't be doing everything in his power to destroy him. But hey, who knows?
Yeah, I think, and I get play it close to the vest because whatever, we're gonna get this movie or this season 2, or like nobody really, I think, at this point knows what's going on, and obviously with the strike still going, we're not gonna get any updates for a while, which is exactly the way it should be. But I think there's more at play with this planet, with Peridia,
Oh yeah,
than we
definitely.
understand at this point. The Ninja Turtles. That's exactly what they were, John. They were. Listen, I'm usually like the first to embrace these like whack job Star Wars creatures that we get, but man, I took one look at them and said, "Nope, not for me. Thank you so much. Not for me."
They were kind of reminded me of the pod people in Dark Crystal. Like, if that makes sense.
So stupid.
I know. I was just like, oh, we've got pod hermit crabs. Okay.
So my favorite thing about Star Wars, I mean, that's a lie. I have a lot of favorite things about Star Wars, but one of my favorite things about Star Wars is looking at like whatever new movie or whatever new show or whatever new comic or whatever and saying, all right, which one of you is going to be the merch character? Like, who are we going to make merch out of? And obviously for Ahsoka, the answer was the Loth Cat. And listen, I am not immune to the merchandising of the Loth Cat.
Way. No,
I'm not immune to it. I get it. However,
I need one so badly.
Sis, there was like a bloodbath at Tatooine Traders.
That's what I heard.
It was like a nightmare mess. And honestly, like I have 2 of them because I bought one for Sabine and one for me.
Absolutely.
And like I saw somebody like go to reach for the one in Sabine's arms, and I was like, "Hi, she's 2. That's hers." Like somebody's like, "Yeah," I was like, "Oh, are you gonna get both of those?" I was like, "Yeah, I sure am." Anyway,
like to think that a little girl carrying it doesn't mean that it's gonna. Yeah. What the.
I mean, especially a little girl named Sabine. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I'm not going to give her freaking Loth Cat? Absolutely, I am.
Absolutely stupid. Oh,
yeah, it was like
sad.
A freaking bloodbath in Tatooine Traders. Listen, it was the cast members were great and they were doing their best, but like they would like dump them into this big basket, and like it got to the point where they realized that they couldn't dump them into the basket anymore because people were just grabbing them. So they were just like, "How many do you want? 2? Great, here you go." And there were limits or whatever, but I think the limit was like 5. Anyway, I thought for sure those stupid little turtle Peridia guys.
Teenage Mutant Peridian Turtles.
Do we even have a name for them? I don't even know what they're called, but I thought for sure they were going to merchandise them.
The Naughty, N-O-T-I.
Oh yeah, the Naughty. That's what. Yes, you're totally right.
Or N-O-T, or yeah,
the not is right. They were right with the first 3 letters. It's a no from me. I'm gonna get so much hate mail for this because I'm sure like somebody's out there.
You are entitled to have your opinion. Okay, this is a safe space. People are entitled to have their opinion.
I don't know. It's such a jarring thing because you go from like creepy Night Sister magic, whole friggin' squadron of battalion's the word I wanted, of stormtroopers with all their crazy red, Night Sister ribbon wrapped around their armor.
Yeah.
You have these shots of what are absolutely the Mortis gods, and then you're like, and here are some Ninja Turtles. What? What?
Absolutely.
And then the Howlers. You're like, all right, yeah, it's a Dave Filoni production. There's obviously have to be a wolf somewhere in there.
Well, and then you're like, they scanned Wolfie, like his dog Wolfie's fur
don't tell me this.
They did to get that. So that's why he looks so fluffy, and he's like just a big ball of like happiness and wants to be goofy and stuff. So, yeah, that's Wolfie. Sorry.
Yeah. You know how I was so excited about how like every time somebody tagged me in that Stellan Gios lightsaber, like a year got added to my life? That one fact about that fur just knocked all of those years off.
No, it didn't. Stellan Gios coming at you. You need to live forever now.
Just one production Star Wars, just one where there's not a wolf. Can we do that? Can we just have? Listen, I love wolves, so like I'm not like mad about wolves, but it's just there are so many, and it's getting to the point where it's excessive. I just feel like it needs to be stopped, and we have absolutely lost control of this show about the Night Sisters.
Night Sisters, here we go. So,
no, who haven't we talked about? So we talked about Ventress. We talked about Merrin.
We didn't really go into Merrin. So, as much as I feel like, obviously time has passed, and she's one of the last remaining of Night Sisters when she comes across. Not
touching it. I won't be baited into that one. Absolutely not.
Sorry, Mark, that's not happening. No, just as much as she was the last of the remaining Night Sisters on Dathomir, when she comes across Cal and Cal has to fight. Oh my god, I'm blanking on that dude's name with the chest tattoos. Sorry, I didn't play the game, but I watched all 3 hours of the cutscenes to get this.
It's been a minute. Maybe somebody in the chat knows.
Yeah.
Anybody.
But just to have her, and again, there were very, very similar attributes between Merrin and Asajj. Like, okay, she's an outsider. Obviously, she's not as deeply versed in the Night Sisters' self. I don't want to say self-absorbance, but like, just their need to just survive as a unit. She's a little more accepting of other people's help and a little more curious about what else is going on elsewhere in the galaxy. So that was interesting, and it made me feel like they were just using her as what could have been with Ventress, like how far they could have gone with Asajj and didn't. So we'll try this with Merrin and see what happens. Yes, Taron Malicos. That's it. Thank you, Mark.
I wouldn't have been able to pull that out. Yeah, that wasn't in my brain. So I'm glad we had that. Good. Okay.
I had to Google. Yeah.
That's also that's like the John Doe of like Star Wars names, because like there's so many Terrans and Talons and too many. Sorry.
Tias.
Too many.
Yeah. Thousands.
Yeah.
That was a fun boss battle. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. See, yep.
I watched the battle and I just, it was like,
I know enough.
You're a Sith. Huh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jaro Tapal. Yeah, see, I'm telling you, it's like that. They really lean hard on that, like TATO, like, I don't know, something Star Wars, something. It's God, it's so dumb. I love it so much. It's so stupid.
And the K's. Do not forget the K's. Kanan, Kestis.
Yeah. The fans love that one. They love those fan theories. But I do agree. I think it was kind of a smart move from a timing standpoint, because I feel like we didn't like giving us a Night Sister in that timeline, I think was really interesting, because like we've now seen the Jedi fall, which I mean that's what the Night Sisters kind of wanted. So in that like immediate post fall, I think that was an interesting timeline to kind of play with a Night Sister character. So I'm glad that we have Merrin. She's a character who I quietly admire, but don't have enough firsthand experience with, I guess, to really do a lot of commentary on. I love her design. I will tell you, of all of the Night Sisters, I think her design is my favorite.
Yes. It's very elegant without looking creepy and burny. It's just it's like Asajj. Asajj,
as I say,
burned.
When Asajj had her short hair, that short like ice blonde hair, I was like, all right, she and Merrin, I get it. Like I see it. And then I look over to our graphic and I'm like, oh, and then there's Mother Talzin. She's got her creepy skin.
Her
and
straight creepy fingers that are all long and spindly, but yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'm still looking at it and I'm like, ugh. I did not like the scene. I did not like the Morgan Elsbeth scene with the black eyes.
Oh.
I am a wuss and I know it's Halloween, but I did not like watching her face get all burny and her eyes get all black.
Now, I really thought that, like, okay, this isn't going to take and it's going to burn her. Like, she's just, they'll be like, oh, whoops, she's not a true Night Sister. She's not a child of Dathomir. It's just, yeah, totally. Oh my God. I really thought it wasn't going to take. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay, she just sacrificed herself. But when she says for Dathomir, like quietly to herself, like it's as much as it's Thrawn is like, oh, it's for the Empire, And she's like, for Dathomir. That's what made me think like those are Night Sisters as well in those sarcophaguses being loaded onto the Chimera. It's a rebirth of Dathomir. It's a rebirth of the Night Sisters in the known galaxy using fallen Night Sisters here in Peridia. So it just, I have my speculations about it.
Well, and it begs the question, like, why are the Night Sisters so interested in Peridia? So, like, yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from there. Like, there has to be something in it for them, because they simply wouldn't be out there just because Thrawn was like, oh yeah, come get me. Like, there has to be something in it for them. Like, these are a group of people who exclusively look out for themselves. So the question is, what's in it for them?
Yes.
So I don't know. I love the idea of more lore around the Night Sisters. My big concern, as was much of my concern with Ahsoka, was that I feel as though there is simply too much being introduced too fast, and not enough time or attention is being paid to any one of these threads.
Absolutely.
So when I think about the Night Sisters and how complex they are, and how the times that we have already seen them in canon, it is pretty heavy stuff. I just worry that we are going to water down their history and their legacy by sort of having them show up in places to serve other characters when that's not what they're about. So I don't know. Okay, so the question is why they fell in Peridia, whatever. Okay, so yeah, so then the Baylan Skoll situation. We don't know what he's looking for. We don't know why he's being all Baylan Scully about things on top of that statue of the father.
Although, like I said, if
Great
they're
question.
if they're gonna have a last scene of Rey, a last shot of Rey, at least it's the most epic one possible. But yeah, I think Peridia is the source of power. It's old magic. It's not Jedi and Sith magic. It's just the source of all magic, and it's just where the Night Sisters got their start, I believe. Just kind of like
something about all those space whale carcasses just really does it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need, just a bunch of dead Purrgil.
Stairway to Heaven.
Boo! No, actually, that's pretty funny.
Stairway denied. Sorry, I watch Wayne's World too much, but yeah, it's just, I just think that like, because it's just the source of magic, like you see the giant sculptures of the brother and the father, and the concept art had like a half decayed daughter on there, but it definitely, I didn't see it in the final shot of the episode. So I think
we did get
the brother and the father, yeah,
right. But we also got, come on, brain, make the words. Bird.
Morai.
Morai. Why couldn't my brain come up with that? I'm literally sitting in front of like 16 of them right now.
I was gonna say, what's behind
there's a lot
you?
Back there. There's a lot. There's too much going on back there.
You got the stone. Oh my god, sorry. I love that so much, and I wasn't fast enough. I had it in my cart when the pre-order ran out. So
yeah, Tiff.
I'll get it next time. Oh, it looks so good. I need it. I need it. He needs it, Precious.
Oh boy.
But some damage to Kanan. Okay.
Yeah, there's too much going on back there.
But it's all good. Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah, so I mean, I this is like so not even like Night Sister related, but I think this was a clever way to write Ahsoka out of the sequel trilogy, because she's probably going to be stuck there for a while with Sabine. From a timing standpoint, they had to, I mean, that was another thing a friend of mine brought up, and I was like, yeah, that's actually really smart, because if they're going to be stuck there for a while, that explains why she wasn't in the sequel trilogy. But I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I guess my big takeaway for this show, as it pertains to this show, is I just would hope that by bringing the Night Sisters into, and their lore into live action, that we don't water them down.
Yes.
We have a really bad habit in this era of Star Wars of taking things from legends and modifying them to whatever we want them to be in that moment, and ultimately downplaying how special and how important they were, back in the 90s and the early aughts with Star Wars novels. Obviously don't want that to happen. I want more witches, but only if they're handled properly.
Yes, but there's also the short story Bug, written by Anne Convery.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another great piece of Night Sister lore. If you have the Clone Wars Stories of Light and Dark
Stories
book,
of Light and Dark, yeah.
It is awesome little story about characters and how they tie in, how this whole thing ties into the Night Sisters and their need for magic and control over things, and people just trying to live their lives independently. Oh my God, words! Use your words, Ash. Of the Night Sisters and their machinations. So it's kind of an interesting little tale. Let me see. Oh, I cannot find it. Where are you? So I'm trying to find the cliff notes that I wrote on here.
Trying to think. I think I read that one right as it came out. I remember as I'm really bad with like the short story books. So like from a certain point of view and Stories of Light and Dark, I will like skim through them real quick and find like the authors that I really, really love or the characters that I really, really love. And I'll read like those. And then I'll put the book down and well, never get back to it, which is my legacy. That's not true. I usually get back to them. It just takes me. I've got like book ADHD. Do you know how much it's killing me to have set aside my High Republic books to read these Thrawn books?
I believe
Who am I?
Who are you?
Who am I? What has happened to me?
So, Anne tied Bug into some big happenings in the Clone Wars. And she ties it into like with Massacre and the Night Sisters arc that you have going on with Ventress. So it ties into that immediately. She said that I have a good beat on Talzin, but it's hard. So what the other authors did, I think, is really impressive because I think it's hard. I get to play in a new way and bring in new characters and let these characters have so much more room and leeway. So a girl is called Bug because she befriends a little beetle. And she hasn't had an easy life. She's stuck on a remote outer rim planet, and she's just trying to like listening in a military tower about like what's going on in the galaxy outside of her family thing. So it's just kind of like lonely outsider girl, and she gets into an encounter with a Night Sister, and it just kind of goes from there. Yeah.
Well, they the Night Sisters too. There are lots of like little Easter egg sort of mentions. They are mentioned in the High Republic, so we know that this is obviously like, you know, not just a
thousands and thousands of years. Yeah.
A couple hundred.
Thousand.
The whatever.
Whatever.
But it's like a quick, just like a blip, like blink and you miss it kind of mention where there's like the mention of Dathomirian and Night Sister tradition. I think burial traditions is actually what they're getting at. It's Imri Cantaros says it, so it's something with Imri and Vernestra. Like it definitely comes up. So but it's like nothing heavy. And then there's also, unless it's been removed, and I haven't looked for it recently, but there is also a crate on Batuu at Galaxy's Edge that says return to Dathomir, and it has like a return label to Dathomir, and it has had, again, I haven't looked for it recently, a Night Sister emblem somewhere on it. So I mean there's like lots of little Easter eggs out there. So like they exist, and you know, it's definitely part of the old lore and the modern lore with Star Wars. So I definitely would love to see more of them handled properly. And it's Halloween, so like how could we not talk about space witches? We just had to. so yeah, Night Sisters, we love them. We want more spookiness.
Yes,
more of them creepy glowing green eyes. We want more taking over of Sabine Wren and taking over of Kanan Jarrus, and we want more Ventresses and we want more Talzins, but we want them handled properly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It just to have the possibility of bringing the Night Sisters back and hopefully keeping them the way they were in Clone Wars and Rebels and not, you know, differentiating too much from their history and their lore. That's all I'd like. We know Nest.
No, I mean, I ask for a lot because I'm greedy, but I'm really greedy with stuff like this.
I'm just like, it's a Star War.
So friends, really happy to be back.
Yay.
Missed the show.
Lady.
definitely missed being on the show.
Yeah.
We have a whole week of programming coming up. I know the big thing that we want to talk about was the unifying force actually is going to be talking about Star Wars horror this weekend.
Oh yeah.
So I have big expectations.
Star Wars characters that have been in horror films.
Actors. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actors, yes. And I just have to say, I'm on episode 6. I just started episode 6 of The Fall of the House of Usher, and Mark Hamill is effing creepy in this show.
So there's a great Star Wars tie into that, because Justina Ireland, who writes for the High Republic, also wrote Fall of the House of Usher.
Yes. And
Star Wars.
And it's amazing. She's doing such a good job on this. And honestly, like the coolest part of meeting Mike Flanagan at the convention last year was him being the big Star Wars nerd that he is and saying, I got to work with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Dr. Sleep, and now I'm getting to work with Luke Skywalker on The Fall of the House of Usher. Like, what is my life?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But make sure you check out that Unifying Force episode. It gets spooky. It's spooky stuff.
And listen, it's such a good time for like spooky Star Wars, because I know if you haven't started reading, it's a short series. I think it's only supposed to be like 6 or 8 issues, but Dark Droids is real spooky. Listen, there's some panels in there I wish I didn't like look at because they're like creepy. And then Cavan Scott has a new Tales from the Death Star comic coming out, and that's another one that's like peak like spookiness. So Charles Soule, I always say his name wrong because that E always throws me off. Charles Soule and Cavan Scott are definitely doing some heavy lifting for spooky Star Wars this holiday season, this Halloween season, which I guess is
spooky holiday season.
Yeah.
Totally different.
And then, of course, if you're looking for like older spooky reads, which I'm sure the Unifying Force will get into, you've got that Dr. Aphra is always real spooky. Some of the Darth Vader comics also real spooky. So there's plenty to go around this holiday season. Yes. Of course, we do have our merch on TeePublic. TeePublic is entering their holiday era, so everything is always on sale, always. Like I've seen as much as 40% off. It's a great time to get your Virtual Cantina swag.
Especially that Hu Yang is for the younglings t-shirt. I'm so... And our Daughters of the Galaxy collection.
I love it.
It really is.
Daughters of the Galaxy collection. Don't think for a second that I don't sit in Batuu weekly and just wait for somebody to like walk by wearing a Virtual Cantina shirt. Like I'll literally buy you a drink at Oga's if I see it. So
yeah,
I'm just saying that's pretty cool.
A half calf with some puffs on top, because
the puffs are back on Batuu. They're
God.
Back.
Oh my god. Okay, I have to go down there and get it.
It truly was the darkest time for me when they replaced the Cocoa Puffs with the
freaking Rice Krispies. Like I just want to. If I saw someone drinking that, I'd probably slap it out of there.
I mean, it was me. You can slap me because honestly, I needed the caffeine badly enough that I was willing to do anything. But like, do you know what it's like to like suck a soggy Rice Krispie through a straw? It's not great. No. It's not great. I don't recommend it. And then because Spencer, of course, wants us to talk about the Virtual Cantina family vacation. There's been lots of information sprinkling through the Facebook group, and I know he's been doing
check it out. December 1st, it opens to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Start saving.
Go to California. Go to Galaxy's Edge out there. Go to Lucasfilm. Go to Cloak and Blaster. Cloak and Blaster? Wait, no, Cloak and Blaster. Scum and Villainy. They're all the same. I don't know. They're not all the same, but the names in my brain are all the same.
It's all good.
I'm really tired. That sun really did me in today.
Aw.
But yeah, as always, friends, thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Hit us up on Instagram. We have some upcoming characters that we want to, of course, talk about, but we want to hear from you as well. Tell us who you want to see. I'm finally giving in on that Mara Jade show. We're going to get the Mara Jade show.
Once we fill in ourselves enough on Mara Jade, we will talk about it.
I'm close. I'm real close. I think we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there.
So make sure you check us out on social media at the all the ats below here in the ticker. Thank you so much, Mark. And
Mark's
don't
got us
forget to
covered.
check the Thursday night watch along this week. They're going to be watching Little Shop of Horrors.
Come on now.
I know. This Thursday.
I was in that show twice. I love it.
I've never. Okay, I saw a snippet of the movie when I was a kid, and it was the scene, the dentist scene, and I was terrified of dentists after that. Like I said on Monday night, fair. I was terrified. So I would like to see more. I was a fan of the cartoon that was on Fox on Saturday mornings, so I would like to learn more. Yeah, in the 90s.
I don't think I knew that there was a Little Shop of Horrors cartoon, but I will tell you, the movie was like part of my formative years, and I got to be in it twice, so I have a lot of love
girl.
For,
so yeah, they're watching that this Thursday night, so we'll get in the chats and we'll watch. And don't forget to check us out on Monday with a new episode of Rebels Revisited. We're going to do Chopper's greatest hits. And by hits, we mean the best episodes, but also the best hits, because you know Chopper is not going down without a fight.
He craves violence!
Craves violence, mother!
He also craves battery recharging, so right now he's not craving anything.
Now I have a question. On your front panel of Chopper, totally unrelated, but on your front panel of Chopper, is the little yellow thing in place, or is it off to the side? Because I know on the newer, it's off to the side. Okay.
Yeah, this is the old
classic Rebels one. That's the one I have. So
this was me rushing to Galaxy's Edge the day he dropped. So
yep.
He's like from that very first release.
My cousin was in Florida, and I was like, "Can I have one?" He sent it to me, so it was really cool.
Small friend. I have small, medium, and large.
Is that the Chatterback Chopper?
Yeah, that's the one that Sabine likes to play with.
I need to get that one too.
We have
many
choppers.
Oh Lord!
That's the chopper shelf I'm sitting in front of. So lots of choppers.
Perfection. I love it. Well, thank you.
But on that note,
so much for talking Night Sisters and spooky season with us. We always appreciate you. Tune in 2 weeks where we do our.
It'll be November.
November 1st. So Day of the Dead. So we're technically
it's my brother's birthday, but yeah, we'll be all right.
Happy birthday to your brother.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much. Have a great Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. Until next time.
May the force be with you. Bye, guys.